In this session, we are going to be talking about controllers, and instead of having all of your request handle logic as clauses in root files, as you can see here, you may wish to organize this behavior using controller classes. And we're gonna see how we can use the controller classes. As you can see here, instead of having this request handle logic here with these closures, we have a function here in the root file. You may wish to create a controller class in order to organize your root file and your Laravel project, because as you can see, we are going to focus more on the model view controller in the Laravel. Instead of using these root files like this, you may organize, for example, to create another root. Here, as you can see, we have root, we have double colon, we have gate, and here we can say slash, and we're gonna create a controller. For example, here I have named this controller welcome controller class. You're gonna create a controller class, and after that, if you want, for example, to remove this function, because we want to organize here means we are going to remove this function, and we are going to put this function in our controller class that we are going to create. And as you can see, we are going to create a home function inside of the welcome controller. This is the meaning of the syntax, welcome controller at home. That means you are going to create a home function inside of the welcome controller, and in this function you are going to return this information, return view welcome. This is what we call about the controller in Laravel. And what is the result? This is the result. And here we have, after organizing your root file, here you have removed this function. Here you have organize your root file. Here you are going to create a home function in the welcome controller class, which extends the controller. And here you can take all this code, put in your controller in the home function, and here you can return return view welcome. This is what we call about control. Very simple. And let us see more about this, and we are going to back in our Visual Studio Code. And here we can say, first of all, how to create a controller. And the first thing to do is to type this command, php artisans make controller, and here you're gonna put the name of your controller. In my case, I have chosen welcome controller as class, and as you can see, your controller must respect the camel case notions. That means we have two words here. First word, we have welcome, and the second word is controller. And the first letter of each word must be in uppercase. Please do not forget this. You have to keep this in your minds while creating your controller. If you want to really respect the syntax, the logic, just use the camel case notion. The first letter of each word must be in uppercase. And here we are saying controllers can group related requests handling logic into a single class, and controllers are stored in the app/http/controllers directory. So let us see what is the controller, and let us create a controller. So let us talk about controllers, and as you can see, we have just talked about it. Instead of having this function here in your root file, you may wish to organize your root file and to do not have a lot of code in your web.php, which is your default root file. And then we're gonna learn about the controller, and here we're gonna say, for example, and we are going to set the default page, which is the welcome. Let us pass it here. Like this. Here we're gonna say return welcome, view welcome. And the first thing we are going to do here is to create a controller in which we are going to return the welcome page. Instead of having this function here, we are going just to remove all this. We are going to remove all this function like this, and we're gonna say welcome controller. This is the controller that we are going to be creating, and welcome controller, and here I'm gonna say add, and I'm gonna say, for example, home, like this. And after creating, for example, your controller must appear in your app folder in the HTTP. Let us click on controllers, and here you're gonna find your controller inside here. This is the controller.php, which is the default controller, and all controllers that we are going to be creating will extend from this controller. And if we want to use this, we are going to open our terminal Git. So make sure to be inside of your basic lessons project. As you can see here, you have this here, htdocs/basic lessons, because you need to create a controller inside of your projects. So we are going to type this command php artisan make controller, and here we're gonna say welcome controller, like this. And do not forget to respect the commit case. And here php artisan make controller, and then I'm gonna press enter. So let us look at here controllers. We're gonna see, let us wait for a couple seconds. We're gonna see a new controller here with welcome controller created successfully, and directly we have welcome controller. And if we click on welcome controller, we're gonna find, let us close this, we're gonna find class welcome controller extends controller, as you can see. And as you can see, we have already put all this, and the desire is if we want to return, for example, the view page. So let us back first of all with what we have here, like this. And we are going to take all this function. I'm gonna take this function here, I'm gonna cut it, I'm gonna grab it, and I'm gonna post it in my welcome here, like this. And I'm gonna say public function, like this. And here I'm gonna customize the name of my function. I'm gonna say, for example, home. And here I'm gonna take this home, which is the name of my function, and I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna say if you put slash as your error, so you will go to the welcome controller, and in the welcome controller create the home function, go to the home function, like this. And if I come back here, you can see I have home return view, and instead of having all this function in your root file here, you can organize your roots like this, and you will get the same thing. This is the importance of the controller. And if I go back, for example, here, and if I put slash like this, let us back first of all. Yes, I'm gonna say, for example, here, and here we have slash, and I'm gonna say, for example, so let us say, for example, here home, like this. And here I'm gonna say home, press enter, and I'm gonna get Laravel, the default page. I think that it is very simple and very easy, and this is not important, so we're gonna close it, and we're gonna use our pages. And here we are going to be creating a new controller. You can create a Laravel controller as you want, because we have just created a welcome controller only for this page, and for these other pages we are going to create a new controller, and we are going to call this controller pages controller, because we are going to be using it. Artisans, PHP artisans make make controller, and here we're gonna say pages controller, and I'm gonna press enter. Let us see here. Yes, we're gonna get the pages controller here. And what we're gonna do, let us come back in our web.php, and here we're gonna say we have all this, so let us remove this. Yes, and you're gonna excuse me, and we have pages here, and instead of having all this here, we are going to grab all this. We're gonna come to the pages controller here, and we are going to let us back in our web.php, and here we're gonna say if you put slash go to the pages controller, and then create a function. You're gonna name this function home, like this, and I'm gonna copy all this, and I'm gonna come to the pages controller. I'm gonna say function home, and here we are going to declare a function public function, and here we're going to return our page.index, our index page, like this. I think that is very simple, and I'm gonna back also. I'm gonna say if you put slash about, just remove all this, bring it in your pages controller function here, function, and here we're gonna say about, yes, and you're gonna return the pages.about, the about page. And if you put slash services, remove all this, we don't want it. So let us come to the pages controller here, public function, and here we're gonna say services. We're gonna create the function with this name services, and let us back here, and here we're gonna customize. We're gonna say if you put slash about, go to the pages controller. In the pages controller, you're gonna create the about function. So you are not obliged to put the same name here. You can choose, you can customize as you want. So this is just an example. And if you put slash services, go to the pages controller, and then create a services page, a services function here. So let us save and back. You're gonna see we have all this here instead of having all these functions here. You should see that our root file is real organized. And let us back here, and if we put slash, and then we're gonna get the index page, which is welcome to the Laravel 7.x project. And here we're gonna say, for example, about, like this, and here we're gonna say services, and we're gonna get welcome to the services page. Very simple and very clear. And we can also use the same thing for the dynamic route. For example, I'm gonna add, for example, a name parameter here. I'm gonna say name. I'm gonna say name. I'm gonna say ID. And if I want to get this name and this ID, I have to take these two parameters and I have to bring it inside of my services function here. I'm gonna say name. I'm gonna put comma. I'm gonna add the second parameter, and here I'm gonna say return to the pages, and I can say for example return pages, and let us first comment this. I'm gonna say return this message, for example return with the h1 tag property. Excuse me. Welcome. My name, I answer my name, yes. My name is name, and my ID is like this ID, and I'm gonna close my h1 tag property here, and I'm gonna put the same column. Then I'm gonna save, and if I back here in the services, if I say services, my name is Mr. Nkele, the ID is like this, and I'm gonna press enter. As you can see, I'm gonna get all this. By using the controller, you can also use the dynamic routes, as you can see, and it is very simple and very easy. So I can back in my default page. So let us remove this, and I think that was very simple, very easy to learn about the controllers. Then we are going to continue to the next session. Goodbye.